Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
If you're looking for the best basketball talk in the universe, you just found it. This is Deep Hoops, where fans are the host. Tim Brayboy, Troy Ramel Royal, and me, your point guard, Jehudi. We're talking basketball, all basketball, and nothing but basketball. So sit back and enjoy the best basketball talk in the podcast universe. This is Deep Hoops. We're back. We're doing it. Welcome to Deep Hoops. I'm the minister.
And I'm Rob.
And we're about to bring it like we bring it, the only way to bring it, full force, all the way, every single time. We're talking Deep Hoops, NBA basketball. We will be going into college basketball in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
And maybe, somebody tells us something about high school basketball that we think is compelling. We'll bring that as well. But remember, we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game we love. What up, Rob?
How you doing?
I'm outstanding,
Good.
bro.
Good to be here.
Yo, man, so we had another interesting week in the league.
Yes.
And, the one thing that stood out to me, and I'm going to really delve into it in my closing comments, but yo, man, what up with Fizdale?
That one caught me by surprise. Memphis, when you think about it, in the last several years, the way their management team is operating, they're just as dysfunctional as any other franchise, such as the Knicks, the Bulls, or Sacramento. The only thing that is camouflaged because they win and they go to the playoffs.
And you talk about the other teams and their dysfunction, but their dysfunction is really driven by analytics.
And it's a shame because they've fired 3 coaches since 2013, and they've taken their teams to the playoffs. Right now, I want to say it's almost 10 years consecutively that Memphis has been in the playoffs, and they continue to fire coaches. I would take a coach that could take the New York Knicks to the playoffs right now. And they're firing coaches that are taking their team to the playoffs. And Fizdale, whether he was stern, whether he was this or that, but he won.
He won, and we're in a league, and I heard Paul Pierce on ESPN say it's a players' league, and I get that. And I don't know if you've heard anything. I haven't heard anything about why he benched Gasol. But the bottom line is, when you undercut your coach and you let the players know that they can run the asylum, listen, Gasol is very, very, very good. I'm not giving him great, but he's very, very, very good. But I don't think there's a person on that team that could say, you can't bench me. I'm this great. It's not like they got a LeBron over there.
It's a surprise to me because from all that I've read and heard and following some NBA talk, it was because of Gasol.
Yes.
And you could not tell me prior to this incident that Gasol could be on a list along with other players that can get the coach fired. I just didn't think he was on that. I think of Magic Johnson when he said either Westhead go or I go.
You listen to that.
You understand that.
LeBron
says you understand that.
Right.
No, not Marcus. Not Marcus.
Pau Gasol, maybe. Maybe
5 years ago.
Right. Yeah, maybe 6.
Yeah.
But maybe Pau Gasol, not baby brother Gasol.
Not Marcus.
No, come on, not baby brother Gasol.
No,
I'm sorry.
You're putting him in a category that might go along with the Westbrooks, the Durants, the Currys, the LeBrons, as I mentioned. I don't understand this fight.
It's tantamount to, LaMarcus Aldridge getting a coach fired. He's not getting Pop. Nobody's getting Pop fired.
No.
Not even LeBron can get Pop fired. But LaMarcus gets someone fired, you laugh at that.
Right.
And I'm laughing at Marc Gasol getting someone fired.
And he has success. Okay, the team was on an 8-game losing streak, but your best player, Mike Conley Jr., is out during that time. You unloaded Zach Randolph. You unloaded Vince Carter.
Yes.
Tony Allen.
Yes.
So you got rid of some key veterans to take a youth movement, which is probably the right move. You started the season pretty well.
Right. And then injuries came in.
And then
you're going to say we're getting rid of, and once again they've kept it quiet, at least from everything that I've seen and read. They've kept it quiet about what Gasol said or what happened between Gasol and Fizdale. But at the end of the day, look, did you see all of the veteran NBA players that came to Fizdale's side?
Yes.
This is ridiculous, man.
It is.
And I'm going to talk about it in my closing comments. So I'm just going to give you a heads up.
I can't wait.
I'm going to give you a heads up. We can't afford to lose another black coach. Now they're going to say, well, Bickerstaff is the interim coach. Yes, the key term is interim, and we know he's not going to be the coach next year. No. So they're going to recycle another coach. And listen, I'm not Trump, and I'm not trying to make this a racial thing. But you got to make it what it is. You got to make it what it is. And I bet you whatever we can bet, as they do on Skip Bayless's show. I'll bet you some Mountain Dews. All right, I'll bet you some Diet Mountain Dews that they're going to have a white coach. Huh?
I'm not sure. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I hope Sam Cassell gets a shot. Or maybe even Mike Woodson.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath. What else is that? I mean, that's what spoke to me this week in the NBA. What was there a game that was really compelling to you, or any other movements that really spoke to you as we reviewed this past week?
Outside of Cleveland continuing to win.
Right.
And D Wade beginning to shine in a six-man role. What stood out to me last week was the ejections of key players or star players by the refs. To see LeBron James get tossed for the first time in his career, to see Anthony Davis get tossed, to see Kevin Durant get tossed. Now, we come to the game to see the players. We don't come to the game to see the refs become the star of the game. But I got to tell you something, and I want to tell you fans out there as well. I'm kind of on the fence on which side I'm leaning on. I mean, I respect the refs for not showing any favoritism for about time towards the star players, because I'll say this. NBA players, they get to say what they want on the court. And they say it a long time, and they get a lot of leeway, especially the elite players. But this past week, the refs, I don't know if they got together and said, let's put an end to this, or these players just happened to say something that was just truly out of line. But I don't know which side to stand on.
You can't blatantly disrespect authority.
No.
And the refs represent authority on the court.
Yes.
And when you're throwing F-bombs and telling them, I don't know what they said, whatever they said, it's uncalled for.
Yes.
And I'm glad that they let them, took them out of the games. Because what example is that showing to the children?
For the youth.
Yes. AAU is already killing basketball.
Right.
And you have these prima donnas out there that are playing ball, that think they're bigger than the game itself. No one is bigger than the game, not even LeBron James. And, I'm going to give LeBron a big up later on, and that's hard for me to do. I'm going to give him a big up later on. But the bottom line is, I can't give him a big up there. If you're cursing the refs and showing up the refs, no, people aren't there to see the refs, but you're also not there to see someone act like a spoiled ass child. Excuse me, a spoiled brat. Okay.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from with that, but I do want to just take a flashback. During last week, with this being a big topic on some of the NBA shows, they flashed back to an incident where Rasheed Wallace got thrown out the game for staring at a ref. and
well, how menacing was the stare?
I mean,
I've had some stares that I'd want to throw somebody out.
And they showed the Steve Smith being mic'd up, asking the ref, "What did he do? What did he do? What did he do?" He said he intimidated me. I asked him not to look at him, and he looked at me, but he was intimidating me, so I had to throw him out.
Yes,
and I just thought that was a little comical. But still, I'm with you. I think it's good to see the refs
Yeah.
try to take control of a situation, not show favoritism, and like you said, I grew up. A coach was like a father.
Right.
A referee was like an uncle. You
Right.
just, hey, all right, you do what they say and you kept it moving.
Well, the referee was the pastor almost. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't curse in front of your pastor or the deacon. They cursing at the refs. Come on,
They
man.
didn't even curse on the church ground.
No, exactly. That's holy ground.
Yeah.
They're on holy ground and they curse. Come on, man. Come on, man. We can't have that. So now, another thing that kind of stood out to me somewhat. What kind of roller coaster is OKC on? At this point, we're about a quarter through the season. They got to start coming on.
Well, maybe that's a good segue into our next topic.
Okay.
As far as with Fizdale down, who could be next?
Oh, so we're going there now?
Yeah.
Okay, we can go there. We can go there.
Because I think beating Golden State,
We don't go this state out.
beating San Antonio, Billy Donovan should be fired. Because if you can step up to beat those teams, why can't you have consistency with the other teams? I mean, chances are you're going to bring your A game to the better teams. Everyone does. Everyone does. But as a coach, you have to have a game plan that's consistent and just as consistent with some of the inferior teams.
All right, so let me ask you. Are you saying it is your opinion or your belief that Billy Donovan doesn't have a game plan going into games?
I won't say that, but he's shown to be inconsistent, and right now he should be on the hot seat. And I think that if this is not turned around, or as you said, the roller coaster that's up and down, if he doesn't get this onto some kind of smooth sailing, and this team is floundering under 500 at the turn of the year, he should be called into office.
They're not going to fire him. Now watch next week he gets fired. They're not going to fire him, but he doesn't have control. I think he has a game plan. He's a coach. And like I said last year, and I've said it every year, Billy Donovan knows his X's and O's. I think that he doesn't have control of the team, and there's no imagination on offense. None. And now they're starting to give up defense.
If he puts management in a position come January 1st,
Who do you replace him
where
with?
they're thinking about...
Who do you replace him with?
Hold on one second. If he puts them in a position where management is thinking about, we better listen to trade offers for Paul George, he's going to get fired. Or his seat is going to be extremely warm. And right now, I can list one person I think could come there and turn that program
Right
around.
now. Who?
Mark Jackson.
No.
Yes.
Right now.
Right now.
No.
I think Mark Jackson turns that program around.
First of all, in the NBA, you don't get many practices with the collective bargaining agreement. You don't have a camp. Listen, I would really like to find out how much respect does Westbrook have for Mark Jackson? How much respect does Paul George have for Mark Jackson? How much respect does Carmelo Anthony have for Mark Jackson? So you're talking about Mark Jackson, who coached Golden State. He had a different caliber, a different mindset of players there. Curry, Thompson, these guys are not going to be, contentious. They're not going to be rebel rousers. They're not going to rock the boat. They're going to listen to authority. Listen, man, P-Boy is not going to do that. I call him P-Boy. You remember the kid that was the bully? Westbrook reminds me of a bully, the one that smelled like pee all the time. That's what Westbrook reminds me of. He's P-Boy, and Westbrook is not going to listen to Mark Jackson.
I believe Mark Jackson will get their attention. I think they will respect Mark Jackson for the job he did in Golden State.
I think if he had a whole camp and some time with him,
Well,
coming in now, I don't think so.
That would help more so, but I think so. It would be a move of desperation. I think it would be a move, a better move, a lateral move. And I'm telling you, if management is thinking that they need to fill offers for Paul George because this is not going to work out and George might bolt, I think you see Donovan.
Okay, so let's go there real quick, and then we'll move on. Mark Jackson, and I love Mark. Mark Jackson left a lot to be desired with his imagination on offense with the Golden State Warriors. The imagination on the offense, and we have to give Kerr that credit. Mark Jackson gets credit for the defense. Steve Kerr gets credit for the imagination on the offense. Mark Jackson showed no imagination on the offense. So would you be just moving one body for another body?
No, I think what happened with Mark Jackson, and prior to Mark Jackson getting a job in Golden State, once upon a time we had conversations where I always felt that he needed to walk the sidelines first as an assistant before stepping from the booth and going into a coaching job. But he did a great job, and I think with him now being back to where he was and seeing the game again, I think that he could come in there and be this offensive a coach as well as the defensive coach. I think he has learned, and on top of that, he deserves. He earns the right to have a second.
Oh no! Listen, and you'll hear it in the last segment, but the closing comments. I'm not denying Mark Jackson. I don't think Mark Jackson would be successful. He never showed imagination on offense. Even if he is going to bring in a whole new Mark Jackson with an offensive set, it's going to be hard to implement an offensive set at this point in the season. Especially if he never showed that he had one. Who else is on the hot seat? Because the segment is, what other coaches could be next?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure who's on the hot seat. I would place Donovan on the hot seat. I would place Fred Holberg on the hot seat. I would place Doc Rivers on the hot seat. Those are the three guys that come to my mind right away. Are those three coaches? There may be others that I'm not sure of, but if you're asking me, those are my top three right now that I think their seat got a little bit warm.
Mark Jackson, Doc Rivers should not be on the hot seat.
Let me. I say this.
So should Rick Carlisle be on the hot seat?
I think that you have to start reevaluating Rick Carlisle right now.
But should he be on the hot seat?
Not as quite. And the reason why I say Doc Rivers is on the hot seat, not that I want him on the hot seat. I'm a firm believer of this. No matter what capacity of work you're in, when they start taking away duties from you, the respect is decreasing. And your time is beginning to run out. When they took away, stripped them away from the president duty or GM
operations,
operation, that right there began to tell me that his time or his place is not as secure as it once was. You want to be in a position where they're increasing your duties, not decreasing your duties.
Well, I mean, and I get that, and that makes perfect sense. But I think they decreased is because he did. I'm not going to say he didn't know what he was doing, but he didn't have. He brought together a team that had no, not no chemistry, but they couldn't do anything. And when they brought in, we should have known that once they brought in Jerry West, Mark's voice was not going to be heard.
Doc's voice.
Doc's voice was not going to be heard. So, so you say Doc should be on the hot seat, Hoiberg should be on the hot seat.
Yes.
Billy Donovan should be on the hot seat,
yes.
But Rick Carlisle is okay.
I think he should start being reevaluated.
Okay, all right. Now, you have another segment that you want to introduce. Do you want to go to your trivia, or do you want to go?
Let's go to the trivia.
Go to the trivia.
Yeah.
Do your trivia.
Okay, last week I asked the question, Michael Jordan holds the record for the most scoring titles with 10. Who is the second? Which player has the second most scoring titles? And that answer is Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain has 7 scoring titles, so he has the second most to Michael Jordan. This week's question is going to be: we watched the game last week where Golden State as a team had 46 assists in one game. My question this week is: what team holds the record for the most assists in a single game? What is the amount? And name the team. I'll give you the answer next week.
46 assists.
That was one shy of their team record. So they do
Passing
not
that
hold
ball.
the record. Yeah.
I think Billy Donovan should be watching that tape.
Yes.
And if Mark Jackson wants the job, he should be watching that tape as well. Get that ball moving. Get them dimes. All right, so Ron, run point. What are we talking about next?
Well, in light of what took place in New York this past week in NFL with Eli Manning getting benched, and it was an outcry of him getting benched by not only just the New York fans, but a lot of people in the circle of NFL. And it was reminiscent to how Indianapolis kind of treated Peyton Manning on the way out, that they decided to go younger and go after Andrew Luck. Now, what made me brought up this next topic is clearly Eli and Peyton Manning are the top brother tandems in the NFL. So I came up with the idea of who are some of your top brother tandems in the NBA. I came up with a list of 5.
When you say brother, you ain't talking about black. You talking about
I'm
blood
talking about
brothers.
siblings.
Oh, okay, siblings. Okay, all right.
Sibling brothers.
All right, okay, all right.
All right.
I got a lot of brothers. Man. All right, go ahead.
So I came up with 5, and I want to get your take on them and then hear what you have to say.
Okay.
All right. So counting down from 5 to 1, I'm gonna go with Chuck Person and Wesley Person.
That's a nice
I just thought that Chuck Person, the rifleman, I thought he averaged more for his career. He only averaged 14.7, but he was deadly. He was a deadly shooter, and his brother Wesley wasn't too shabby.
Wasn't shabby.
He averaged 11.2 a game. Now they played for a couple of years. They weren't just in and out.
Right,
They
right.
played consecutively. Number 4, this might be a shocker for you. Gus Williams and Ray Williams.
No, that's not a shocker. That was the one that I thought about.
I mean,
I would have had him maybe a little higher, but go ahead.
people don't realize that Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson formed one of the
The
best.
Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah, one of the better backcourts at
Yes.
that time. Gus Williams, for his career, he averaged 17. Ray Williams never had a chance to flourish with Michael Ray Richardson because of Michael Ray Richardson's problem. But together, they was going to be a dynamic backcourt.
They were going to be something.
At one point, they was looking at Michael Ray Richardson as being a baby magic.
Right.
And Ray Williams, he averaged 15.5 and 5.8 assists
Solid.
for his career. You know, so that was a good brother tandem. And this one here, I was a little torn because I really wanted to put them number 2 because of my love for the Knicks. But Bernard King and Albert King, I got them at 3. Now, Albert King was successful in the NBA, but he was more successful in college. He was a beast in Maryland. But Bernard King was just a dominant player, should be a top 50. It's a travesty. He's just now getting into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But you're talking about maybe one of the toughest small forwards to ever guard. He was strong, but yet quick.
Yeah.
And mid-range shot, probably top 10 of all time.
Okay.
But I got him 3. I wanted to put him 2, but I had to put Dominique and Gerald Wilkins 2. I think that Dominique maybe had a better career than Bernard King. Bernard King got cut down with some injuries and so forth.
Would you say he's a better player?
Man, that's tough. It really is tough. It's really tough. Both of them got left out of the top 50, and that's a travesty in its own right.
Right.
And Gerald Wilkins, believe it or not, he averaged 13 points a game for his career as a New York Knick, and Dominique averaged 24.8 for his career. But that's number 2. And number 1, maybe the only brother tandem that possibly has a shot.
Don't say it.
Possibly has a shot.
Don't say it.
As the only brother tandem to have both brothers to go into the Hall of Fame.
Come on.
And it's not a lot. I
Come
think
on,
Paul
man.
Gasol is a lot for the Hall of Fame.
Paul Gasol is getting in the
Marc
Hall.
Gasol, he's
going to buy a ticket.
borderline right now.
He's buying a ticket.
But he may get in if he continues with his numbers. But yeah, those are my top 5 brother tandems. There were a few that I left out. Horace and Harvey Grant.
Horace and Harvey.
Horace with the rings. The Barry brothers. I left them out. The Lopez brothers. I left them out. And I just didn't know enough about Al and Dick McGuire, so I left them out.
Please leave them out. Please leave them out. Well, what's the other brothers' names? The one's a coach for Golden State.
You have Jason and Jaron Collins.
Right. Jason and Jaron Collins. Yeah, I mean, your list is great. I mean, Mark and Pau Gasol, it's not even arguably.
Yeah.
They're the best brother tandem that I can think of. I knew Gerald and Dominique would make the list, but I don't know that I put them above Bernard and Al King. But it's a solid list. It's a solid list. I mean, when you brought the topic up, I basically said, Gus and Ray. I thought about them. I thought about, of course, Powell and Marc Gasol, the Wilkins brothers, the King brothers, and then I didn't think about the McGuire brothers. What is it? McGuire?
Yeah, it's Al and Dick McGuire.
No, I didn't.
You're not a Knicks fan.
I'm not an old basketball fan like that. Now, come on, man. Next you're going to say, George Mikan is the best center ever.
No, I won't say that.
You won't say that, okay.
Although he had a brother to play in the league, Ed Mikan.
Next topic. George and Mike, what is his name? Mike Mikan?
It was Ed Mikan and
George. I thought you said Mike Mikan. All right, so the brothers, we want to hear from you. You should put that up as a poll. Name your top brother tandem in NBA history. One brother tandem that you left off, and I'm kind of offended. Seth and Steph. How did you leave the Currys off?
I don't think Seth qualifies.
Huh?
I don't think he qualifies.
Seth,
he doesn't even have 2 full seasons in the NBA.
Come on, man.
He doesn't.
Seth is going to make the All-Star team one year.
I don't know about that. G League?
No, YMCA. He's going to make the All-Star in the over 30 league. Once he gets over 30, he's going to make the All-Star team. Yo, Steph, man, don't get mad at me for talking about your little brother, man. All right. But so what game coming up this week stands out to you?
I don't know. You usually have me prepared on it.
Well, there's 2 games on Friday that I'm looking at. This coming Friday. Honestly, the schedule this week. Now, when we say the top game or the games of the week, we're not saying what's going to be the best game. It's just the most anticipated game. Because when you watch the NBA, the games that you think are going to be terrible can end up being good. So we're not saying what's going to be the best game. It's the most anticipated game, right? Good matchups. But you got to go with, on Friday, Golden State playing at Detroit.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's a road game for Golden State. And no matter who they're playing on the road, they're going to get that team's best.
Always.
And Detroit's playing some solid ball.
Yes.
Stan Van Gundy looked like he's finally got a group of players that are playing his style. He's got an unsung MVP over there, and Tobias Harris that is just continuing
All-Star
to get
game this
better.
year?
There's a chance.
I think there's a very good chance that Tobias Harris makes it to the All-Star.
There's a chance. I mean, right now, you have in the forwards for locks is probably LeBron, Giannis, and probably Porzingis.
Right.
So, yeah, there's room for one more.
There's room. And I mean, can you, and we're doing the remix.
Ben Simmons go?
Over Tobias?
Yeah. He's going to get votes. The fans is going to vote him in. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of votes.
Yeah, I mean,
he could be a top voter.
But, yeah. Okay, all right. You made an argument. You made an argument. We forgot about one of the most interesting things that happened last week. And Detroit against Philly. Embiid against Drummond. And Embiid did his talking. Didn't have the greatest statistical game as far as shooting percentage, but he won. and he got Drummond fouled out of the game.
Yes.
That was interesting. I mean, whenever Embiid plays, and I talk about the games of the week, on Thursday, we have on TNT Embiid going up against the Lakers. Now, I don't see that as being a compelling game, but it's going to be interesting to watch.
It is, because the last time he just dominated.
Right. And are they going to let him dominate again? He's going to be at home this time.
The problem is that they don't have nobody that is as big, that as quick as he is, and as big as he is.
Right.
Brook Lopez is bigger than him, but he's definitely not as quick as him. Randall's too small. He might be as quick as him.
What's going on with what's his name from that was on Cleveland that got hurt? That was on Golden State, and damn, I can't think of his name. Bogut.
I mean, Bogut ain't gonna be able to.
No. Who can take him?
No.
And that's another. I mean, I know that we're right near the end. Embiid. We were wondering if he was going to play, and I mean, an injury can happen at any given time, and I'm not going to speak that up.
Yes.
But this dude is the real deal.
He is. Yes,
He is the real deal.
Yes, and him and Drummond might have some kind of war or battle for the next couple of years. It might be similar to a you and Rick Smith type thing. You know, they're going to be going at it.
And the thing about it, Drummond appreciates what Embiid is doing.
I think that Embiid is going to improve Drummond's game.
Oh yeah, he's calling him out.
He's going to have to step up and get his offense together.
You know, Spencer Stein, I did not leave your Philadelphia 76ers out, and we had a few mentions of Embiid, Simmons, the Philadelphia 76ers, so you better follow us. You better like us on Facebook, and you better subscribe on YouTube. So now we're at that point. And for those of you out there, I'm about to really go in. I'm going to let Ra go first. We're doing our closing comments. Woo, I'm heated, so go ahead, Ra.
My closing comments is going to center around a player who averaged 23 points for his career. He's averaged 4.8 rebounds, 5.6 assists for his career. He's a 12-time NBA All-Star. He's 3-2 in the finals. He's got a finals MVP, 8-time All-NBA team, 10-time NBA All-Star, 3-time All-Defensive team. I said it in the very first show, and we had some guests here that ridiculed my comment, made statements about it, chuckled, whatever it might have been. When I said to you guys out there that if Cleveland wants the best of D. Wade, he has to be a six-man. It didn't sink in early on, whether it was ego, pride, or whatever it might be. But since D. Wade has accepted the role of coming off the bench, he's flourished. And it seems to coincide with this winning streak that Cleveland is on right now. Cleveland is hot. They've won 11 games in a row. They're the hottest team in the NBA right now, outside of maybe the Houston Rockets. And all because of commitments and sacrifices such as that. As D. Wade, who's always sacrificed. He sacrificed when LeBron came to Miami. But by him humbling down and accepting that role of coming off the bench and now becoming a six-man of the year candidate, the Cleveland Cavaliers is flying high right now. And whether LeBron is having an MVP season or not, and he is, and then whether he's the main reason for it, and he is, it's also because of D. Wade. So kudos to D. Wade for taking the high road, showing humility, and accepting what can I do for the team to make this team better, and flourishing in that role. Because as I said then, and I'll say it now, when LeBron went to the bench last year, there was no playmakers coming off the bench. D. Wade is still a starter in this league. Make no mistakes about it. But for this team, his playmaking ability and coming off the bench is exactly what this team needs. And he's averaging 12 points a game, 3.8 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and all in 23 minutes. Those are my closing comments. D-Wade.
D-Wade, and I think I didn't laugh. We can go back to the videotape. I don't think I laughed. No.
It was our studio audience.
Roderick. Ski, we calling you out, man. We calling you out. All right, great closing comments. You ever read those books, the dummy books? Did you ever see those
I've seen
for dummies? Yeah. And it says, this is a dangerous topic, or I'm putting out the warning right now. This is going to be controversial. But I've never been one to shy away from controversy. The bottom line is, we have a league that's dominated. I think it's 70%, maybe higher, African Americans. A league dominated by African Americans. Yet, we only have one African American owner in the NBA, majority owner. I'm not talking about the minority owners. I'm not talking about the, Drakes or anything like that. I'm talking about majority owner. We only have a handful of general managers, individuals that are making hiring decisions that are African Americans. But I'm not even going to weigh in on that. My challenge is with the people on the bench, the coaches. We only have, I think it's 6 NBA teams with an African American coach. And one was fired and they replaced him with Bickerstaff. But we know that Bickerstaff is not, and I'm not, throwing no shade on Bickerstaff, but Bickerstaff is not going to keep that job. And I just said that earlier today. So Fizdale, a very good coach, a well-respected coach, a coach that was doing a great job, was let go. And they let him go, they said, because he lost 8 games in a row. After losing his point guard, after the front office, all white, put together a team that wasn't reminiscent of anything. They had 2 anchors, and everything else was a joke. Okay? But they fired Fizdale when Conley went down. That is a travesty. But see, the biggest challenge is not that there's not black representation, that there's only one voice in from the African American community on the court that stood up for an African American coach. Do you know who that is?
LeBron James.
LeBron James. Well, no, he stood up for Fizdale, but I'm talking about for a coach that is actively coaching. LeBron James stood up for Tyronn Lue. Now, here's the deal. I heard people complain about Tyronn Lue at the beginning of the season. He can't coach. They're losing. I don't hear those same birds now. But you know what they'll say? They'll say that, well, of course he's winning. He has LeBron James. Well, wait a minute. You didn't say that about any other coach when they had LeBron James. But when it's Tyronn Lue, an African-American coach, the pundits are saying that he's only winning because of LeBron James. And then I heard at the beginning of the season, why does he have so many different starting fives? What is this? This is ridiculous. But then a week earlier, those same pundits that was calling him out for having a whole bunch of different starting fives was talking about, what's the Boston's coach name?
Brad Stevens.
Brad Stevens had a number of different starting lineups and would play around with the lineups. What a genius he is. He works on different chemistries. Why is there one standard for a white coach and another standard for a black coach? Can someone tell me why? I'm going to tell you why. I just said it. LeBron James is one of the only NBA players that stood up for an African-American coach. An African-American coach that is coaching today was very critical of African-American coaches. Do you know that Jason Kidd got like 3 or 4 African-American coaches fired, including Byron Scott? You see, when you refuse to stand up for the African-American coach, why would anyone else? When you refuse to give them credit, why would anyone else? So I'm not going to just hold the front office accountable. I'm going to hold the players accountable. If you want to, Gasol got Fizdale fired. Why aren't we doing more to get more blacks hired in NBA basketball? I'm going to hold the players accountable. I'm going to hold us as fans accountable. We cannot tolerate a league of 30 teams and only 6 black coaches in the league. That's a travesty. We need to say something about that. We need to do something about that. There needs to be a Rooney Rule in the NBA. They have it in the NFL so that they can make sure that black coaches are getting a fair shot. Adam Silver, it's time to implement a Rooney Rule in the NBA. That's my closing comments. I want to hear from you because I am pissed, and I don't use that word often, but I am pissed that there's not more being done in the NBA, a league that's dominated by African Americans, but not dominated on the bench by African American coaches. That's my closing comments. You close it out because I'm pissed.
Not much more to say after that. Tune in, subscribe to us, follow us on YouTube, follow us on newflavor.tv, give us your comments. But just to piggyback off the minister, outside of Byron Scott, I can't think of many African head coaches that have been fired and African American coaches that's been fired and been given a second chance. Doc got a second chance after Orlando. I mean, we talked about Mark Jackson earlier.
He may not ever get another shot.
Nate McMillan, he finally got back into the coaching ranks after maybe a 10-year drought. Joe Dumars built a tremendous team in Detroit. He hasn't been given a chance. The list goes on.
Isaiah Thomas, it goes on.
The list goes on. So Mike Woodson, the last coach to take the Knicks to the playoffs, a 50-win season, he hasn't been given a chance. The list goes on.
We got to do something, man. Yo, this is Deep Hoops, man. We love you. We'll see you next week right here. We're not experts, but as you can tell, we're passionate fans talking about the game we love. Subscribe, like, follow, spread, share us, get the word out. We're Deep Hoops. Peace.
Peace.